Hello everyone, my name is Debug, and today we're playing my favorite Sonic game of all time, and what might be my generally favorite game of all time, Sonic Unleashed. And does this have anything to do with the fact that it's one of the first proper games I ever played? Yeah. I've got to say, this opening cutscene has got to be one of the best. No, in fact, the best Sonic intro and animation as a whole. This thing is stunning, even to this day, almost 2 decades later, and I don't think this level of animation has been topped. Showing all this just in like the first couple minutes of the game is so insane. This would be an ending to any other Sonic game.
I've waited a long time for this.
Genuinely, this has probably been like the most insane Eggman has ever been. I mean, literally, boom, this is like the Eclipse cannon on a full planetary scale, what it was meant to be doing. And he just fires it with no remorse. A lot of games around this time did have insane bad guys, don't get me wrong. But this game is basically God and the devil fighting over millennia, and Eggman just decides to wake up the devil. Bye-bye. As a whole, Sonic Unleashed has this cinematic aspect to it that I don't think will ever be topped by a Sonic product. And then instantly, from that gorgeous cutscene to just... I mean, the game doesn't look bad, but this is not a very good introduction, especially zooming up close on him. Boo. I mean, fair. If I saw a big monster holding me like that, I'd be scared too.
Just fine. Thanks for asking, Mr. Monster Guy.
Mr. Monster Guy? Looks like things have gotten pretty ugly.
I love how he just shakes it off, just sees his hands get turned into claws. He looks grotesque, and he's just like, damn, things got a bit ugly there.
I can't remember.
What? You forgot who you are?
Okay, it wasn't that insane to have to do the whole, Whoa! And here we go, straight into gameplay.
Go!
Generally, I think that the boost gameplay is really fun, but I do think it might have peaked here in the first game. I know it's not the first game, but it's the first 3D game, so it's the first time people being introduced to it. Oh yeah, another funny thing is they mapped the homing attack to the X button in midair, which admittedly feels good. It feels really nice to be able to just move from button to button. It feels very substantial, but the one thing about it is later on in the game you get an upgrade where you can boost in midair, which is a great upgrade, of course. Always good to have more movement options. But the boost is also mapped to X buttons, so it just leads to you either going a tiny little bit off an edge or boosting fully off the edge. And just like that. This is a really quick level, but I think it's really good as a just setting up level. Just, here's your controls, figure them out, jump over a couple enemies, and then you're done. This is such a cool aesthetic. This town's just always looks so welcoming and such a great color palette. While obviously green's quite a common color palette for an opening level, I think white works really well in conjunction with the green.
This is the real me.
I don't know what it is, it's just got such a clean aesthetic with the blue, white, and green. And it really contrasts later on when you get to the red and the blacks and the smoke and the smog everywhere in Eggman Land. Hiya, so how'd you like my ice cream? Best you've ever had, right? Even if the planet were to crumble all around us, it'd still taste amazing. Hello, lovely weather we're having today, isn't it? Oh, and who's this little fellow here? Do I know him? No, I can't say I've seen him before. Perhaps someone else has. Well, what do we have here? Travelers? What a pleasant surprise. Trying to figure out which way to go? Not an easy choice. If you continue straight ahead, you will come straight to the entrance stage. I have an inkling that it leads to your future. I'll take a look. An enthusiastic response. May good fortune smile upon thee. I love being able to just talk to random people, even if it's not needed. Being able to just interact with random people always just adds such nice world building in games. It feels like you're actually going to real locations rather than just running around the level, right? Into Act 2, I guess. I think the hub worlds as a whole add so much, but they also work quite well. This might be a hot take, but I like both the Wii version and this version pretty equally. I would play this over the Wii version any day, but I don't want to bash the Wii version because I think it actually works quite well. I mean, obviously, it's a big step down to go from full 3D hub worlds to just PNGs talking, but I actually quite like being able to just click on things and see dialogue. I don't know. Okay.
Here we go!
I think this stage is probably second to only City Escape and probably Green Hill in terms of Sonic opening stages. Even if it's not truly the opening, because you had the tutorial stage, I'm gonna count it as such, because really it's the first fully featured level. And the level is just really fun to play. Ignore my very bad gameplay, because I haven't played this version in a while. I've been grinding the Wii version more recently, to be fair. So it's gonna feel a little off, but I think just the openness, really, and the introduction to the brand new boost mechanic, it's just so well done here. I will admit that the boost formula does kind of boil down to reaction times a lot of the time, but I like that about it. I mean, it's really good to just learn the stage and know where things are coming up and go, okay, I stomp here, I boost here, I jump here. I was meant to jump there, but it's okay, I got onto the rail anyway. Even though I do think the adventure formula should absolutely make a return, this formula, I think, works really well as like Sonic's core formula, at least for now. I know they're gonna try and experiment more like Frontiers, and while I love Frontiers, I had such a blast with that when it first came out. I do think that Sonic should really run multiple gameplay styles at once. People are saying, oh, you should ditch the boost formula, it's run its course. But I think you should never really close the book on formulas, because they're formulas for a reason. They can be made into so many new games. I think Sonic should just blitz between them. I definitely want them to sort out an adventure formula, because I would love another adventure formula game. I was playing Sonic Project 06 the other day, and just the fluidity of chaining together that score attack kind of element that's a bit lost in the boost games, but I think having variety is the spice of life. So I think they should definitely keep this around, and the adventure formula, and the Frontiers. And that's it.
Cool.
I will admit, the S ranks in this game are actually insane to get, so do not expect me to get one at all. Apart from maybe the Werewhogs. They're quite lenient on the Werewhog stages, I find. If I were to remake this game, I think what I'd do is you could integrate the Wii levels as well to add more content, and the DLC, of course. So you could just slightly tweak the Wii sections to work with the slightly different moveset. And then you could basically like double or even triple the levels in this game. Because while I prefer the HD version a lot, I will admit the Wii version stages are actually really fun. And I would absolutely love to see them brought over to the HD version with the better controlling Werewhog. Here we are. The Werewhog. Probably the most divisive part of this game. Now, I hear a lot of people say that Unleashed should have never had the Werewhog, and they should have just stick to the boost gameplay. But personally, I really love this game mode. I mean, it's probably just a me thing. I get it is a bit button mashy, but I do think there is really a place for a bit of a slower pace in Sonic games. You don't need to be going super fast all the time, and with the really fast levels of the boost formula, you do really need a pace killer. Obviously, you don't want to just be slowing down to a crawl. What I will say is sometimes these levels get a bit too long. I mean, you don't really want to be sitting here when you want to play a day stage, but you can say that about adventure, and the adventure games are heralded as being some of the best games in the franchise, and it's true, they are amazing. But the problem I'd say is people just aren't open-minded to giving other gameplay a shot. And I mean, it's fair enough if they're a bit dysfunctional. I will admit, playing Sonic Adventure 2, it really starts to get on your nerves with just how badly controlling the mech stages are. I mean, I love the idea, I loved the Gamma stages in SA1, but I do think they need tweaking. But I feel for the Werehog, with only 2 gameplay styles, it leads to having like a more fully featured moveset. And it's really polished. And I do think that the Werehog is quite fun to control. And honestly, I think that if this game didn't have the Werehog sections at all, I don't think I'd like it as much. I'm gonna say it. It's like, it's weird. I think it's definitely a thing that I've just gotten used to because I've played it for so long. You can't tell that in my gameplay, but really, this game has been really good, and I've played it over many years, and I only just beat it last year. But this game is just really fun, and I know the Werehog's a bit hit or miss for most people, but it really adds a lot to this game. I do really think these stages are fun to play through. The issue is just how much you need to come back for them for the damn medals. Another thing, I'm gonna keep talking about how good this game is and how much it needs a remake, but seriously, it does. And if I were remaking it, I'd add the feature from the Wii version where your ranks give you medals. I'd still keep them in the levels because they're still good collectibles, but what I'd do is I'd add 3 medals for every S rank and 2 for an A rank and so on and so forth. And what I'd do is I'd just slightly increase the amount needed, and what you can do then is just tweak how many levels. You could put it up to 10 levels, make the DLC levels like level 9 or whatever. You still only need level 7 for beating the game, and then make like level 9 and 10 just for intense levels, like the DLC ones. And they could even make like a super extreme version for every stage if they are remaking this game. The one thing they need to do is remove the battle music. As much as I've developed Stockholm Syndrome to it over the years, and I just accept it when I play, what I'd suggest is adding a toggle and have the battle music on by default and have it switch offable in the menu, and just let people know that that option's there. Also, another option they could go down is, there was a theory, and I'm not sure if this is true, I just read it somewhere, and if it is true, then that's great, and if it's not true, they could do something like it, is that they were planning to have multiple battle themes, but they didn't end up going with any. They just kept the one, and that this one is meant to be for Skyscraper Scamper. And while that theory is, like, it's definitely, take that with a grain of salt, but it might be a good idea to have one for every stage, because then, even if it's overplayed, it's only overplayed in certain levels. Or the final solution you could do is, you can make it like Breath of the Wild, where you basically add drums and more intense music, up the tempo, have dynamic scaling music. And I think that'd fit in this game, because it is such a cinematic-driven game, that having music like that would really work. These little guys really annoy me. They're so finicky to get a hold of. And actually, the most embarrassing thing is I think I die to these guys more than I do to the bulky enemies. I'm not gonna lie. Just because there's so many swarming you at once, and they're so tricky to get. Finally. If they're remaking it from the ground up in a new engine, maybe tweak the physics a bit, because I will say, because the game's using the, not hyper-realistic, but the more physics-based engine, so like when you hit an enemy, it ricochets into another. That's really good for the Werehog sections, but when it comes to the Sonic sections, a lot of the time it can also lead to some pretty bad outcomes when you hit into an enemy and you're going to hit another one, and the aforementioned air boost comes in and you go flying off the edge. I mean, it's nitpicks, it's little additions, but I think a thing that just improves the graphics, adds little additions, you know, quality of life additions, add a couple more stages from the Wii version, or even build a couple new ones, and you could definitely sell that for 60, and if you're getting greedy, 70 quid. Because really, Unleashed just remastered on its own could probably muster that out of people, especially people who haven't played it, because this game is just so content rich. You can play this thing for hours, and I have. I did get this game for Christmas one year when I was younger. The first game I played, to my recollection, is Connected Ventures. The first ever experience with the game wasn't even with a traditional controller, but I think one of my first games with a proper controller was definitely Sonic Unleashed. And even if I never got past Missouri and got stuck on stupid second Werehog level, I had my fun. I had a lot of fun. Whoa, whoa. Thank God. One thing I've been getting used to in the Wii version, which is now very jarring to switch between, is in the Wii version, you need to hold down the button to stay hanging on to stuff. In the 360 version, you can kind of just like grab onto stuff and then not press anything until you need to let go. But on the Wii, you need to be holding that button down the whole time. And if your finger slips the slightest bit, you're going plummeting down. But where this gets weird is the enemies in the sky, you can grapple onto them and stay swinging around them for a very long time. They have whole levels around kind of just floating on enemies. But in this game, you kind of just swing on them and then go up in the air. So that made my heart skip a beat because I was expecting to hold on and I just went plummeting down. I used to have so much trouble with this when I was younger. Because what I didn't realize is this guy can actually just take out half of these guys by himself. Because all you gotta do is jump over this thing and all of them get tossed to the side. Oh! One thing I like about this game that I know a lot of people don't is the QTE finishers. I know the QTEs in this game are a bit insane at times, but I do think even though they're a bit overused, I think they're quite fun and they're quite unique to the identity. Obviously, I know lots of games have QTEs. I'm talking Sonic-wise. They didn't really have QTEs to this degree until like Frontiers, and even then it's not as much. It's just for cutscenes and the Titan boss fights. But I do think the QTEs do fit here. And having this like quick reaction time QTE that you have to do. Ooh. I said I used to have trouble with it. I still do. What? Why? Oh, no. Third time's the charm, right? It was in fact not third time's the charm. But it's really interesting because obviously this game is considered to be padded by a lot of people because of the Werehog stuff. And while I don't agree that that's padding, I think that's a very core mechanic to the game. I will agree that the medals mechanic is definitely padding. And if they remake it, they need to add either more methods to get medals or just lower the requirements. Because then you can make the medals a kind of like thing to unlock more levels. And there we go!
Not so bad.
Here we are, Spagonia. Well, I think that's it for me. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys around. Bye.